They say, death is life's greatest teacher. Yet for most, it is the one lesson they fear to face. But in the hidden heart of Tibetan Buddhism, death is not the end. It is the doorway. A passage where fear can be transformed into freedom, and the end into awakening. Today we step into the sacred science of highest yoga tantra, where the yogi learns not to escape death, but to master it. Buddhist Tantra speaks of 4 paths: action, performance, yoga, and the highest yoga tantra. And among these, the last is supreme. Its aim? To halt the endless wheel of birth, death, and rebirth, and to transform them into the very state of Buddhahood. How? By practicing yogas that mirror the process of dying, the journey through the intermediate state, and the moment of rebirth. Until the yogi has such mastery that death itself loses its power. But before a practitioner can transform death, they must understand it, not as a poet's metaphor, but as a precise living process. In Tantra, life is carried by winds, currents of subtle energy that hold consciousness like a bird rests upon the air. When these winds fail, consciousness can no longer remain in the body, and death unfolds. Buddhist medical theory speaks of 3 life forces: wind, bile, and phlegm. Wind is the leader, the guide, the mover. It is light in constant motion, and without it, life's other forces cannot act. But here, wind means more than the breath we take in. It is the hidden network of energy that moves thought, speech, movement, and even the digestion of food. It is the mount of the mind itself. There are 5 great winds. 1. Life-bearing wind dwelling at the heart. It moves the breath, the swallowing, even the beating of life itself. 2. Upward-moving wind rising from the chest to the throat, bringing speech, swallowing, and the fine workings of the joints. 3. Pervasive wind, seated at the crown, giving movement to limbs, eyelids, and every gesture of the body. 4. Fire-dwelling wind, resting deep in the stomach, moving through the organs, burning the fire of digestion, separating the pure from the impure. 5. Downward-voiding wind, in the lower abdomen, guiding urination, defecation, menstruation, and the release of life's wastes. The yogi of highest yoga tantra seeks to dissolve all these winds, both coarse and subtle, into the very subtle life-bearing wind at the heart. Why? Because this mirrors what happens at death, and in mastering this, the yogi gains mastery over dying itself. Inside the body flows a vast network of channels, 72,000 paths through which the winds move. But at the center lie 3 main channels: the right, the left, and the central channel. They begin at the forehead, run over the crown, down the spine, and into the sexual organ. Along these channels lie sacred wheels or energy centers at the forehead: crown, throat, heart, solar plexus, base of the spine, and sexual organ. Here the right and left channels coil around the central one like vines around a sacred tree, constricting it. At the time of death, the winds in the outer channels dissolve into the central channel. The constrictions loosen, the winds flow inward, and a deeper, more subtle mind begins to emerge, a mind most beings fear, because it feels like the self is disappearing. But for the yogi, this is the doorway to truth. Instead of panic, they meet it with recognition. Instead of fear, they step into awakening. In each channel center, rest drops of energy, white and red. They are the very foundation of physical and mental health. White is strongest at the crown. Red is strongest at the solar plexus. Both arise from a single indestructible drop at the heart, white above, red below, the size of a mustard seed, yet holding the entire seed of life. It endures until death itself. Inside it rests the very subtle, life-bearing wind, the final breath beneath all breaths. At death, all winds dissolve into this indestructible drop, and then the clear light of death dawns. For most beings, this clear light passes unseen. It flashes like a moment too bright to bear, then fades into unconsciousness. But for one trained in highest yoga tantra, this is the moment of supreme opportunity. Here, the mind is stripped bare, free from coarse thought, free from distraction, free from illusion. It is naked awareness, luminous and pure. If the yogi can recognize this moment, they can merge with it, and that merging is liberation. The journey of death is not random. It unfolds according to a precise inner science, a dance between the winds, the channels, and the drops within the body. In this teaching, the mind is like a rider. The winds are the horses that carry it. When these winds dissolve, the rider has no mount, and the journey turns inward. Death begins with the gradual dissolution of the four elements: earth, water, fire, and wind. Here, earth means the solid structures of the body: bone, muscle, flesh. When the wind that supports earth loses its power to hold consciousness, the body feels heavy, and the power of the next element, water, becomes more apparent. But this is not physical earth melting into water. It is a shift of the subtle winds, one fading, another becoming dominant, each stage bringing its own outer signs and inner experiences. As earth dissolves, the dying person may feel as if the world is sinking. The body weakens, the face pales, the limbs lose strength. Inside there is a vision, like a shimmering mirage in a desert. Then water begins to dissolve. The mouth and throat dry. The eyes lose their sparkle. Inside, a vision like smoke drifting in the air appears. Next, fire dissolves. The body loses warmth, starting from the feet upward. Digestion fails. Inside, sparks appear, like fireflies dancing in the dark. Then wind dissolves. Breath becomes uneven, shallow, and finally ceases through the nose. Inside, a small, steady flame, like a butter lamp, flickers. From here, the winds that carry coarse consciousness can no longer function. The outer breath is gone, but the inner journey has just begun. With the winds of the elements gone, the mind begins its own dissolutions. First, all ordinary conceptual thought fades. In its place arises the white appearance, a vast, peaceful vacuity filled with gentle white light. White appearance dissolves into red appearance, a radiant, deep light filling the mind with a heightened awareness. Red appearance dissolves into black appearance, an all-encompassing darkness, where consciousness teeters on the edge of unconsciousness. And then, all appearances cease. What remains is the clear light, a state beyond duality, beyond form, beyond thought. It is the pure, luminous nature of mind itself. In the ordinary view, death is the last breath. In Tantra, death is the dawning of the clear light. If the body has not been ravaged by severe illness, a person can rest in this state for up to 3 days. The consciousness is still present, resting in this vast, lucid expanse. Only when signs like a drop of blood or pus emerge from the nose or sexual organ is it certain that the consciousness has left. Until then, disturbing the body can disrupt the final journey and cause harm to the next rebirth. When the clear light fades, consciousness begins to move outward again. It passes back through the same stages in reverse. Clear light. Radiant black sky. Radiant red sky. Radiant white sky. Flame of a butter lamp. Fireflies. Smoke. Mirage. This reverse journey marks the start of the intermediate state, the bardo. Here the being has a subtle body, weightless and unbound. It can pass through mountains, walls, oceans, drawn instinctively toward a place of rebirth. This in-between life can last a moment, or up to 7 days. If no suitable birthplace is found, a small death occurs. The same 8 signs of death are experienced in rapid sequence, followed by the reverse process. A new intermediate life begins. This cycle can repeat up to 7 times, 49 days in all, after which rebirth is inevitable. The stages of death and rebirth are not limited to the final moments of life. They echo in other experiences. When we fall asleep, we pass through the 8 signs of dissolution. In dreams, we pass through them again before awakening. They are present, though incomplete, in fainting, in moments of deep bliss, even in orgasm, yet we remain unaware. Ordinary life keeps us bound to the coarse and superficial, ignoring the deeper currents on which our consciousness floats. This ignorance makes the deeper states seem like annihilation, but they are not destruction. They are the foundation of who we truly are. The practitioner of highest yoga tantra does not wait for death to meet these states. they train to enter them willingly. Through generation stage and completion stage practices, the uncontrolled cycles of death, intermediate state, and rebirth are purified. The clear light, the most subtle state, is stabilized and used as the base from which compassion can manifest endlessly without ever falling back into coarse, grasping minds. But such mastery is not possible without compassion, the realization of emptiness, and the training of deity yoga, the meditation in which one appears as a form of wisdom and love combined. Even if one cannot practice the highest yogas, understanding these stages changes how life is lived. It shifts our perspective from clinging to the surface to recognizing the deeper flow. Death, then, ceases to be an enemy. It becomes a teacher. A reminder that the winds will still, the channels will empty, the drops will open, and the mind will meet its own light. When that day comes, fear is not needed. For the yogi, it is the moment they have prepared for all along. The truth is, every night you fall asleep, every time you dream, every moment you lose yourself in deep stillness, you are rehearsing for death, and every time you are given a glimpse of the clear light, but you do not see it. If you begin to look now, death will not be a stranger. It will be the homecoming you have always sought. So the next time the winds grow quiet, listen. For in that silence, the doorway is already open. The teaching is profound, but its message is simple. Death is not the enemy. It is the mirror, the return, the chance to awaken. The winds that carry your life today will one day carry it away. The drop that has been with you since birth will open its final secret, and in that instant, all that you have clung to will fall away. The question is, will you face it in fear? Or will you meet it as a friend? In the silence of that last breath lies the path to freedom. And the yogi walks it, not at the end of life, but every single day. So remember, the moment you call the end could be the beginning you've been seeking all along.